Okay, friends. Welcome back to another session to Thinking and Destiny. We have completed the Great Way, and today we will be thinking how our thought starts, the point of circle. So, before we go further into Percival wisdom, let's meditate on his consciousness for a few minutes, and then we can go. Please sit in a meditative posture, cross your legs, clasp your hands, and close your eyes. Observe your breath. You're taking vital energy from this cosmos. Supplying to each and every part of it. Exhale all your negative emotions, unwanted thoughts. Place your hand on your eyes for a few seconds and open your eyes with a beautiful smile on your face. Before we go further in today's session of the next chapter of Thinking and Destiny, let's recap the important lesson that we have learned in the last week about breathing. Balagaru, over to you.
Thank you, Prasanna. Last week, we learned about the regenerative breathing. He explained regenerative breathing, and it's similar to our. It looks like similar to our Anapanasati.
Your sound is a bit feeble.
Oh, is it?
It's not regular sound.
How about now?
No, good.
Okay. So today, let's go through the regenerative breathing. We covered, last week we learned. So regenerative breathing, it assists in seeing things as they are and also knowing what to do and what not to do. So these two things we learn from this regenerative breathing. It reestablishes the right relation between the breath and the form of the breath form, which is the feeling and desire. That's how we balance. It reconstructs the human body to its original perfect form. With this, he says, with this regenerative breathing only, we can do all this. And in breath, it has this breath has four kinds. First one is the physical breath. The second one is the form breath. The third, life breath, and then the light breath. Each of these breaths subdivided into four breaths. As first, As the first 4 physical breaths are practical, they lead you to the next kind of its subsidiaries. So he's saying as we practice the first one, it automatically leads to the second and third. That's what he's saying. Physical breath has 4 kinds, and then in this again, the physical breath has 4 kinds. That is the solid physical, fluid physical, airy physical, and radiant physical. So they repair and build the structure of physical body. So this physical breath helps in building the structure of physical body. They maintain balance and between the building and the waste material. This is done by regular inflow and outflow of the breath. So it maintains the balance between the building of the tissue or the organs and also the waste material. Breathing is intended to supply to all the parts of the body with the units of matter of its own state. That is with the prana. And this is so, it is specific to each organ of the cell. So liver cell has its own specific, the stomach cell has its own specific, that's what he's saying. At present, human breaths only portion of gross physical breath. This is not sufficient for proper digestion and assimilation. And in the proper digestion and assimilation of the food and drink in the body. Therefore, ill health and death occurs. So he is saying, normally on most of the humans, we do not breathe properly. With balanced breathing, the process of building new tissue in the body happens, and also the elimination of the waste material from the body happens, and also the maintenance and balance between the building and elimination also happens. So these 3, it happens for the good health. By practicing regenerative breath correctly, physical health and life, we get the good physical health, and also life may be prolonged indefinitely. For regenerative breathing practice, Percival advises not to do yoga breathing or pranayama. This, he says, this interferes. He says the pranayama interferes with the regenerative breathing. Rules for regenerative breathing. First one is there should be no interruption of breathing between in-breathing and out-breathing. Like our Anapanasati, he says, just let the flow go easily. One should think and follow the breath as it comes and it passes through the body and observe and feel where it naturally goes and what it does and come out of the body. So same thing in Anapanasati also we do, we just observe our breath, how it is going into our body and how it is coming out of the body. That's what he says, we need to do that. Regenerative breath practice should be done every day, initially for 10 minutes and and then eventually increase to longer periods until it becomes part of normal breathing. It can be done at any time. It is so similar to what Patriji says, about the Anapanasati. Practice of regenerative breathing should be done without any compelled reason. So it should be very natural, he's saying. Don't do it, because it is like a forceful. If there is any anger, panic attack or excitement or overwhelmed, then do uninterrupted full in-breathing and out-breathing. So he says this helps in that situation. By breathing uninterruptedly in more number of times, in breathing, out breath. By the practice of this regenerative breathing, the breath rebuilds the tissue and opens new channels for the continuous flow of breath through all the tissues and its senses and its organs, cells, molecules, atoms, and electrons and protons. So he says, by this regenerative breathing, this prana goes into that levels, electron proton levels of our organs. It goes and rebuilds the tissue, he's saying. This breath, when passes through all bloods and all the blood vessels and nerves, it balances active side of the doer and passive side of the feeling. Blood vessels and nerves run side by side in the body, and the desire being the blood and feeling being in the nerves. With proper regenerative breathing, they both work together and balance it. Thinking or steady focusing of the conscious light on the subject is only possible between the neutral moment. What is that? It is at the pause or point between in-breath and out-breath. He's saying in between, when we take the breaths, when we take a pause in between in-breath and out-breath, that is the time we need to focus, if we have to think on one subject. That's what he's saying. That's why this method gives more power to think. There is twice conscious thinking in one complete breathing round, because it is when he inhale one, and then when he exhale also we pause, that is two times. This regenerative breathing helps us to understand functions of the body in relation to the functions of the universe. That's how, he's saying, by doing this continuously, he says we can understand the relationship of our body to the universe, it seems. There are 4 degrees of thinking, he says. One is selection and attention on the subject. And the number 2 is holding conscious light on the subject. And the third, the focusing light on the subject. And the fourth one is focus on the light. And then, from the subject to focus on the light. Initially, he can focus completely because of distracted thoughts, but he should focus steadily on the subject without giving up. This is the second stage. At the third stage, by focusing on the subject as a point, then on the light, which opens into a full knowledge of the subject. He does not, here initially light showed by senses changes to conscious light of the subject knowledge. By doing this, the focusing from the subject to the, light, conscious light, he says, initially the senses, light showed by senses changes to conscious light of the subject knowledge. Then that is where we get the subject knowledge. He does not get knowledge until all the light is focused. With each focus, he acquires more and more knowledge. By this way of thinking, people get information in business, art, or any occupation in life. This is how we get all the information, he's saying. All inventions and discoveries in science, art, or any subject comes either as an illumination on the subject or flashes of knowledge through the neutral point, focusing between in-breath and out-breath. This is human thinking, but it is not real thinking. So what is real thinking? The real thinking is beyond the ordinary human. Here, when the light was focused on breathing, the breathing stops. One can seek an advice and guidance of one's thinker during the breathing. That is what he says. One can seek the advice and guidance of one's thinker and knower during the breathing. And that is what the Gayatri Mantra also that is what Gayatri Mantra says. So he can act with this help, we can act fearlessly with the confidence. In this process, one may get answers to his questions related to his life, and also in relation between the universe and his body, in his duties, in relation to his thinker and knower. So all these questions can be answered with this real thinking. So each subsidiary of physical breath leads to next finer breath, which builds the structure of physical body. Example, prana leads to prana, apana, vyana, samana, udana. From form breath and its subsidiaries help to form the body. The breath form gradually rebuilds and reestablishes the physical body to its original perfect state, and then extends the life indefinitely. It can only do so as the doer empowers and directs it by thinking, that is, by voluntarily. The form breath is the initiator for body rejuvenation and mysteries and miracles of life. This will prepare the body for the breathing of the life breath. Then he receives further information from his thinker and knower at this stage. That's what I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for a quick recap, Balagaru. Now let us go to the next chapter, the point of circle. Here, in this particular chapter, right? So I'm just giving the essence of the chapter, like more or like, because when you go through, it will be like more and more the geometrical shapes, whatever that chapter that we have missed. If we understood that chapter, this will have gone in a depth. Instead, because that chapter was gone, right? So I'm just giving you the kind of outline how to understand that kind of thing, okay, instead of going line by line, like, because I feel like this is not that much relevant kind of thing, right?
That helps. 4A.
Yeah, 4A, the figure helps. Yes. So there is a one figure that which is already there. I'll show you, but the chapter was given too much kind of the detail. So let us see how it goes. The thing here, the creation of the thought, how it is happening. That's what here is saying. Creation of the thought. Thinking is different from thought, right? Thinking is whatever the that you are thinking, like 5,000, 4,000 varieties of that on the those things that you are doing, that is the thinking. But there is a thought creation. So what is the difference? That also, right? Thinking as well, thinking may or may not create a thought. Method of thinking, building within a point, within that point. And human thinking, what's a human thinking and what is an intelligent thinking? Because we are thinking and the intelligence or other side is also thinking. So what is that? Thinking which will not create the thoughts are a destiny. So these are all the points that we will be discussing today. The point right here is the point where everything starts with a point, a small circle. With that, actually, that point, our thought will starts. That point is infinitely a small circle. That is the small circle. When it becomes, when that point becomes a small circle, that is actually the fully expressed. Okay, the point is not a thing. It is, but when it becomes a circle, it is everything. But the point will become a circle. So when the point becoming a circle, that thought is actually coming from unmanifested to manifested. So whenever that thought was created, so that's already there in this world in the unmanifested form. That is coming in the manifested form. The circle, when it is formed, it is so that point will become that circle when you are thinking about it. When your thinking became a thought. A point in the beginning, a point is the beginning of everything. For everything, that dot, that bindu, or whatever it is, it's the beginning of everything. It's the beginning of perception of your senses. First, you started perceiving with your senses. You feel it, you desire it, you want it, you think about it. That's where the thought comes. The thinking ends. When the thinking ends, when you got the knowledge, then the thinking ends. When you got the knowledge that all the things that you have manifested are all the things that you have possessed are of no use, then your desire ends, right? Similarly, the thought ends when when this is all right, the desire or the thought is going to be end once that knowledge begins. When the knowledge begins, the thought is end. When the thought is issued, it is issued as a point, a small point. A point is departure from the unmanifested and started beginning the manifestation. So that's the point for manifestation beginning. A point is the opening from unmanifested into the manifested. A point has no existence, but that came from existing ones. A point may not have any existence, but that came from existing ones. When I saw something, some thought came, right? That is the point. So when you saw something, when you desire something, only the point come. A point has no dimension. A point, a point that has from which the dimension comes. So when it is from which it is come. Whereas the point, when it becomes a circle, it is a completeness. Completeness. It's a whole. All is one. Point is nothing, but when the circle is, it is the whole, and that all is there. The circle is made up of 12 parts. We know, right? The circle is made up of 12 parts, which we already see that. The extension is made by a point, a line, an angle, and surface of completing the curve. How that point will start with a line, then it made an angle, then it made a half circle, then it made a full circle. So this is the complete circle. How it is happening? This is all I'm talking about, the thought only. A physical universe in a chemical elements, colors, sunrise, sounds, water, solid bodies, this phenomena that is building up, all the realities which are, so these are all the realities that happen behind that. It starts with a point, and it extended as a line, then extended as a angle, then extended as a surface and curve, and it built. So initially that is also start with a point. Suppose in your life also, anything that you want, you start with one single thought, a flash of thought. That's a point. From there you started building up, and then it will become a circle, isn't it? This universe is so built up because it follows the structure within the thoughts. This entire universe was formed like that only. It built with the structure of the thoughts. Forget about entire universe. When you are as a kid, what is your surroundings? How the things were built up. If you think of it from there to now, we have seen, especially our generation, we have seen a lot of from somewhere that there's a no fan or no phone too. Now we have seen the smartphones, smartwatches, smart TVs and all, right? So we have seen the lot. So how these things were happened? All these things came with the thought of somebody. So that when the thought came, all the things which are in the unmanifested form became manifested form. They became exteriorized. They exterior thinking builds by point, line by line, angle by angle, curve by curve, surface by surface, and totally it will become a circle and completed. Once a thought is issued, once you issued a thought, elementals, nature units, they started obeying them. Whenever you are issuing a thought, your elementals that are around, your nature units, we call it as universe is listening, right? What is this universe? So universe, it has in the elementals, nature elements, all this. So then they form as a structured lines of those thought structured lines, build them up. The intelligent side of it, this is happening the nature side of our thought. Similarly, the intelligent side on the other hand also building up whatever this natural elements that it is doing, it is also building, intelligent side is also building the patterns. So the unmanifested side also, it is building the patterns that once you are issued the thought. So that unmanifested form is coming into the manifested form in the slowly later days. The principle what is of extending this point to a circle, how this point, whatever the point, will be extending to a circle, right? There are three applications that relate to the law of thought. What are those of the applications? First relates the creation of the thought. First one is creation of the thought, so which means you have some aim, you have some object, you have some design structure of it. Thinking, then thinking of that wants to do the thinking. So that is the principle. That principle, thinking works from intelligent side to the nature side. Once you started thinking, that's intelligent side to the nature side, and thereby ripens the thought. Then the thought will ripens. Then the thought is exteriorized in the nature side. So whenever you started thinking, that intelligent side, it is coming and exteriorizing the thought here. All the nature elements has to act according to this principle. Everything has to act according to this principle only. So it has to come from the intelligent side to the nature side, because the units produce the phenomena that the nature must first have been the human bodies. Let me show you one diagram. Maybe that will give you one idea. Am I able to share it? Yes. Are you able to see my screen?
Yes, Prasanna.
Okay. Here, if you see, right, these are the exteriorization. If you see, right, this is not the one here, symbolizing figure A on the nature side, on the intelligence side. The center of object is of the desire received by impression of a point. Here is the point. Here, if you see A, it is a point. This point is the one that was started with the human body, some with the some thought, with some point it started. Okay, when it is started the point, if you see the intelligence side, the entire thing is there. Then only you will get a thought. The intelligent side is the sum of preceding lines symbolizing the way the thought is balanced. Everything, how the thought can be balanced, how the thought can be exercised, everything is there in the intelligent side. When you started with a thought, everything is there in the intelligent side. Okay, here it is a dotted line you started, but here everything was there if you see intelligent side. So next one is aim the desire. Whatever the desire is there, right? Aim that desire. So once you aim that desire, right, a standard angle of 30 degrees, one more line is actually forming here. This ABC, that AB came here. Okay, and the other part of that 1/4 balancing the line. This is the knowledge form. That knowledge form and all of them is there still in the intelligent side. The design of the aim BC. Then next one is, so the once you aimed it, what you wanted, then you started designing whatever you wanted, right? So that you started. So exteriorizations. Once you started the exteriorization, this particular part from here to here, the surface level, you started thinking and it came. So finally, when this entire thing was formed, right, from here to here, entire circle will be formed, and unmanifested form to the manifested form, the entire thought will come. The entire today's lesson is all about these things, how actually the thought is forming and how it is coming, right? That is a thing. Okay. And I just wanted to show you once so that you will be able to understand how what I am thinking. All nature matter is acting according to the principle, because these units are producing phenomena nature somewhere in the intelligent side, and it is coming. Thinking works by the method of point, thinking how it must a point, a line, and an angle, and surface, and a competitive curve. These are all the things that it is acting. Thinking begins with the point, because the conscious light, when turned on the matter, acts thus. Because the conscious light that is there is acting on the matter, that matter you are getting attracted, right? So the light is directed upon the nature matter, and the matter is developed or the built from point to the how it is by matter is building with the lines, angles, surfaces, and the curves. The object is perceived and perceived as a surface. Whatever the object that you are aiming, that is perceived in the physical plane as an object, as a surface level. On the physical plane, the four senses perceive the object. Who is perceiving that object? I want something. Suppose let us take small example. I would like to eat a gulab jam. So the moment your thought came, how are you perceiving? Because if you don't eat any gulab jam before, you may not know like what exactly what is the shape, color, and everything. Okay, so when somebody put that you thought it is a round shape. Okay, the round shape, somebody gave you the round shape, some sweet, then do you say it's a gulab jam? Until and unless it is the color of that gulab jam, that brownish, that color, then only you will say. If somebody bring the white, no, it's not a gulab jam, it could be something else. That's what you will say, right? Because you already have that perceived. Who is perceiving this? It's perceived by your senses. You are seeing through color, you are seeing through, suppose that entire color is there, brown color is there, some juicy is there, but when you put in the mouth, that's not a sweet, then you will say it's not a gulab jam. So how are you perceiving? With your four senses, you are perceiving that object, isn't it? You are tasting all your smells, your taste, smell, with all the things you are actually perceiving. Every object is perceived by means of coordinating with all the four senses. By all our four senses, we coordinate. Suppose if I see this is a bottle, we say, because I know I have a bottle, how it looks like. That's why we say this is a bottle. If I don't see the bottle before, I cannot name it, because the senses was received, and through the senses, so whether it's a water or not, if I drink, then only I can say that's perfectly that's a water. Otherwise something else might be filled it up, right? So everything was perceived with the help of all the four senses. That perception, who is doing this perception? The doer in the body is doing, because the doer is the one who is access with all the four senses. The carriage is perceived by the sense of sight, acting to the dominant state, while the hearing, tasting, smelling act accordingly. Okay. The breath form as the physical breath resolves the surface to the point, whereas the matter of the physical plane of the physical world. Here, the breath form, that's what, through the breath form is helping you, because all your senses are there. You have your mouth, you have your ears, and everything is there. But if the breath form is not there in your body, then you are just that body. You cannot even perceive it. So this breath form is the one which is allowing to experience or perceive the physical things on the physical plane, or on the physical world. The
It
point
forms an impression.
It forms an impression, yes. The point represents the whole surface at which the outside object is perceived. The point is representing here the whole surface at which the outside object is perceived. From that point it is starting. So there is always, according to the passive side of the psychic breath, right? There is an active side and there's a passive side of your psychic breath. The passive side of the psychic breath breathes the point to the desire, and desire wants the carriage and doesn't doesn't want that the coal gas. That's a special the desire, right? Or affected by the point, breathes to the rightness and impresses The thing desired or the thing is desired or liked or disliked, it forms an impression. This impression was received at the physical matter and transformed to the physical atmosphere. And then that physical atmosphere matter transfers to the mental atmosphere, and that impression of the point will be there in the physical plane. Despite, so this compulsion, so whenever you saw something, you may be feeling it, but the desire mind is the one. If it wants it, then only you start working towards it, right? So first one is the feeling mind, is the one that point feels it, but it goes to the desire mind, and desire mind, it wants it. So whenever the desire mind wants it, what you are doing is, your light of intelligence, you are turning towards that desire. I want this. That's a desire. You saw some beautiful flower. That's you saw, oh, how nice the flower is, beautiful. But the second moment that you thought that I want that flower, I want to possess, I want to have that plant or something. So when you are having the desire mind, you are actually focusing your light of intelligence. Whatever that light of intelligence that we have, we are just putting on that particular thing. The light turned on the desire, and now that light is turned into that desire and becoming unite. This is a desire, this is a light. So it went into the desire and it got united. So that means it got some power, some thought, thing. So the thought in the intelligent side, the point within it, from the nature side, from the nature side to the nature side. So you are just using your light in order to get fulfill for that particular desire. The conception will be developed through gestation when the amount of the light turned held steadily at the point of thinking. Like last session we told, right? Whenever we want something, we need to keep that light steadily on that particular desire. Whenever you put that steadily on that particular desire, the desire of the light becomes, the desire of that light becomes a thought. Now it is becoming a thought. That thought you are actually releasing to the universe. You are releasing to the universe that you want that. It's not that whatever that 50, 60,000 thing and the thought that we are doing daily, it will not go and manifest. You may release a thought and you may cancel it. You may not focus. You may not give your intelligence there. Then that will become dim. That thought will become dim and it will not get manifested at all. So only when you are using your light and the thought, then only it will become a thought and it will get, because it forms a structure. This structure from the nature side and intelligence side is becoming one, and then it is getting released. The light is held by the thinking, enters into the point. Holding the light extends the, whenever you are holding the light onto that one small dotted line side, what is happening? It is extending the line. It is becoming an angle. The line in the horizontal matter is the manifesting the line. First it is starting. Then there are the points of nature matter from the life plane of the physical world, with which the mental atmosphere is in contact with the physical breath. The line can be extended. The limit of the extension is determined by the nature of the thought that is being created. When the horizontal line has reached its limit, it's stopped by the completing curve. It will stop by the curve. Then the light is held. The initial point extends within the light itself. So once the light was held, the initial point is extending the line, aiming the line. So whenever you are aiming that line, then it will become the point, the curve, and one angle it is getting formed. Within the point, we speak the horizontal line, the angle is getting formed. Each thought, so similarly, each thought is extended by the points, made up of the points of the matter. It is not the line, it is the points of the matter extended. So this is the aim line built up. That line was the aim line that has got built up. So this line is attracting the intelligent side of the whatever the thing, and it is forming from the life plan and to the physical world. Each successive line, that whatever the successive line is building up the greater angle, and it's becoming the 180 degrees. Okay, the circle, and then it will get extended, the complete circle will form. When the light is being held by thinking. When you are thinking, the light is held by thinking, the line matter builds up next and completes the curve. This completing the curve, thus the limited of is the limit of the standard angle. The first standard angle is made up of the line matter. The second standard angle is built up by the thinking Thinking continues from the life plane to the physical world, because first one is a physical, second one is coming from the life plane to the physical world. The second standard angle limited by the curve is completed by the light held in the initial point, whatever that, how much light you are holding it, the whole structure within the point. Now the three standard angles covers the 90 degrees. All the three standard angles, 30, 30, 30, that is coming, that as I shown in the previous example, it is covering as a 90 degrees. The right angle are the square bounded by the 1/4 of the circle. It is starting. By this process of building within this point, right, towards a circle. So it is trying to form as a circle. The human thinking is started forming as a circle with his heart and a brain. So with concurrence of their heart and brain and all the things, right? The thought is being issued when the point matter, line matter, angle matter, surface matter gathered into the structure within the thought, then it is ready to issue the thought. The thought is ready to go because you have given enough light. You just start, you put all your thoughts, or you put enough manifestation kind of thing, right? Constantly you put your light on the thought, so it is ready to go out. Thinking which creates the thought is functioning of the body mind. Thinking which creates this thought is the function of our body mind, producing the arranging the points, lines, angles, and surfaces. Now it is arranging the points, lines, and circles, and now that became the thought. Human thinking, even at its best, when it is actively thinking, it is a imperfect functioning, not more than the three minds, and all the effect of the focused light hold on the subject of the thought. It is human mind is an imperfect. You need to take that intelligence mind, and all the focus of the light has to be held on that thought in order to get exteriorized, because these objects are perceived by the four senses only. Such thinking is involuntarily, you are actually thinking, but that thinking is insufficient, incoordinate, or unbalanced only if you are doing with the body mind. All the three minds, if you are doing right, then the body mind, feeling mind, desire mind, when all the three minds, thinking does not, then thinking does not create a thought where the mind works according to the righteous. So, suppose if you are actually thinking, your mind is thinking according to the righteousness and reasoning, then your thinking will not create a thought. Here again, I'll take we'll go with an example so that you will understand. It may be easy to what Parsival is trying to say, right? I went to Sirisha's home, let us take. Okay. I went to her home and I saw some beautiful thing, some beautiful, what do you say? Anything that I like, right? Some object or some wall hanging or some crystal. Let us take some crystal. She had a very nice crystal. I just simply liked it. Okay. So what is my desire? I wanted to have it. Let us take, I wanted to have that crystal. Okay. So when I wanted to have that crystal, so immediately when I'm putting my mind, my focusing on the light, so I just wanted to, oh, why don't I take it? Because if I ask, Sirisha will not say that, she will not give. Why don't I take it? Why don't I ask and take it? Let her get somewhere else. This is my thought. Let us take. Okay. I can do that. But whenever I'm doing that thing, what will happen is actually, it is not that I should not be able to, I should not take it from somebody else. And just like that, that is our, as per the principle, I should not be taking it. But I have released the thought. So whenever I release the thought and if I act accordingly, what will happen is it is creating some kind of the karmic bondage as well. Okay. But when I applied my reasoning and righteousness, when I applied for my reasoning and righteousness, okay, what I do is when I applied for the reasoning, Sirisha Garu, do you have this crystal in your pyramids for use store also? Do you have it? Can I buy that? So I'm applying that reasoning. No, I should not take hers. Let me see if she is having in whatever that she has a website that she is selling, right? Did she has it? If she has it, let me take it from that. So it has a reasoning that I should not take hers, and if she is really having the stock and selling it, So whenever you are applying that reasoning and righteousness, what is happening is your thinking will not create the karmic, that kind of the thing. So you can just, if she says that no, then you will not have, you will not create, you will not mind, you don't have that kind of desire, you don't have that kind of attachment with that crystal. You just liked it, and sometimes later, oh, I really love the crystal that Sirisha kept it in her home. It was so nice. That much. The thought was stopped there. The desire mind is did not go and want to possess that kind of thing, right? Even if I want to possess, I went with the reasoning and righteousness. Whenever I went to the reasoning and righteousness, that attachment will be missing. Whenever that attachment is not there, you are under the control of your desire. That's what we need to understand. In all the instances where any definite thing is to be done, thinking goes on the method of point, line, angle, surface, anything. Definite thing has to be done, your thinking goes like this, because this is the human process. This is the thinking process. But it is not the process of thinking that does not create a thought. What desire urges it, but the mind do not mix the desire with the light of it. Desire is always urges, I want that kind of, whether it's a right or not desire. So you need to control your mind whenever you don't attach your feeling with the desire. So attach your feeling with the righteousness and reasoning, then do for it. Then you will not have so much attached with your desire. Is not that, then your thinking and desire is not attached with the object or the subject of the thought. So whenever I'm applying in the previous example with the righteous reasoning, my thought is not applied to that object of whatever the crystal. If she's selling it, I'll get it. Otherwise, I will not. I just appreciate it and come out. That's the kind of thing, right? That's the kind of thing that we need to. It must be desire. Desire must serve. Desire from that we must learn. We must learn. We must be free from the doer. I want it is the kind of a doer position. So that is not the thing. Appreciate it. You like it, appreciate it. That's okay. That's a part that we need to do. In human thinking, the combining the points, lines, and angles, surfaces into the structure, even, uneven, equal, disappropriate, appropriate, regular, irregular, overlapping. So these are the kinds of the thoughts that we are doing. So whenever we are doing, like in the show, point, circle, 30 degrees, one more 30 degrees, one more 30 degrees, 90 degrees, then become the block and 1/4 of the circle, then release the thought. It will not be that clear in the human thinking. You have so many thoughts, uneven, unequal, disappropriate, irregular, overlapping the structures. You are forming so many circles within that 1/4 of the circle. Then it is so distorted because you are not putting your light of intelligence with the study light of intelligence. You are not putting. Then your mind is doing all unskilled work. It's not doing any skilled work. So you are not free from the domination of the desire. The desire is compelling. It is actually, it is creating innumerable conflicting desires. It is actually creating it. I want it. Oh no, I don't have that mental intelligence. I cannot get. No, I cannot work. So your mind itself is creating so much conflicts within yourself. Okay, when the structure within the thought built and the thought is ready to issue, right, the balancing factor, the comprises manifested to manifested or unmanifested parts of the thought, the whole circle of which the structure is 1/4, that is a 90 degrees, right? That one should be very clear light. You have to focus on that to become from unmanifested to manifested form. The balancing factor is called conscience, that consciousness, whatever it is, right? Consent. The consent, consciousness, he call it as a conscience in thinking and destiny Percival terms. Conscience, which is the amount of the knowledge given to the subject, puts its mark upon the subject of the thought. Your consciousness, you are putting on the subject of the thought. So then the selfless impressed point, you are actually getting it. Then whenever you are doing that, the knowledge of the knower, right? Because you are doer, thinker, knower. So the knowledge of the knower will also help from the unmanifested side to bring that unmanifested side to the manifested side. The knower will also help you to do that. The point in the center is the circumferences between which all the lines and angles are equal, right? So it is making, this is an ideal potential state to make your thought as an actual real balancing thought. When you have done all these things, the balancing factor extends every point, every line, every angle, every surface of the thought. Okay. The aim as a line, 2 points, one connecting with the object, one connecting with the visible world. So it is actually connecting both the things. Your thought is always the center point itself. The generation or the entertainment of the thought is a issuance may be aided, accelerated, strengthened, or maybe delayed or weakened. Depends on your how much the light you are focusing on it, right? So this will be, it can be strengthened or it can be delayed. It can be brightened or it can be dimmed. Depends on how much how much light you are focusing on your thought. Thinking, which the point matter of the life plane, right, or to the physical plane, builds the point of the line of points. Line of points, it is actually making it. By thinking, same aim, same object, same line, same angle, over and over, worked over and over again, then what will happen when you are thinking on the same subject over and over, how to do it, how to get that. Suppose, as I take the same example, how do I get it? Oh, Sirisha doesn't have that particular crystal. She just bought it from somewhere. Okay, I will ask from where she bought it. I will try to find out, oh, is there anybody that they can find out? Let me take a picture of it. Let me send. So you are actually focusing on some kind of the same kind of the thought over and over and again. That becoming is strengthening. You are trying to see how you can get that one when it is not there, right? So this is the thought issuance. So your thought became strengthened. Before the thought is issued or aim is changed, the structure of the thought can be changed. Before the thought can be issued also, right? You may change the structure of the thought. So she said, oh, that time, Andi, Prasanna Garu, I bought it in 2010. That time this is a good, but nowadays we got so many good crystals and they work well. So don't go for this particular crystal, go for that another crystal. She sent some XYZ crystal. So that you will be aware. So before you are issuing the thought, she is telling you something good is there. So you are actually canceling that. The structure of the thought you are changing. The pattern, the lines, angles, or surfaces you are changing. So those thoughts, whatever the previous thought, you are broken down and you just formed the new thought. So you substituted the previous thought with a different thought. Original structure you substituted. Then your original thought became weak. So you are no more manifesting that thought. On the contrary to the original aim, you started with a new aim. You revoked that thought and you put the new thought. That's how you can cancel the thoughts or you revoke or add one more thought. Generally, the aim remains, but the result of the desire or the lack of, but it is the result of desire or lack of knowledge. So generally, whatever that aim, the first time that you see, right, it may remains because if you do not have the enough knowledge. Fear, again, there is a fear, right? The fear, the anticipation of the failure, the lack of confidence, other inhibitions may be present to influence the thinking, but aim remains. It may be in present the influence your thinking, because fear, oh, I wanted to become something. Oh my God, I don't have that intelligence. That's a fear. I'm not that smart. That's a fear, right? You wanted to, because you are not, before you focus the light, you are actually negating the thought. You are actually you are dimming up your thought. Whenever that impression you are putting on your feeling, right, the structure of the thought will not get strengthened. So when you want to strengthen, ultimately you need to put all your positive things strong. You should become strong without no inhibitions, without any inhibitions. When you start, then that thought can exteriorized. Unless the feeling of an impression somewhat is according to the aim, unless your feeling and aim, you should feel that. That's why they say that whenever you are manifesting, right, you should feel it. You already there, you already achieved that kind of feeling. So the bodily, you need to feel it. It's not just doing a daydreams or just doing it the mind surface level. You need to feel it. The thoughts with the same aim, same intensity, you should feel it. You should be there. Thoughts will work over the same kind of the line angle until they are getting exteriorized. Until they are getting exteriorized, you should be able to do that. In that structure, the thought aims, because what is happening? It aims the line again the object, the curve and all the angle, all the things. The surface matter depends on the angle matter, the surface, and it builds the three standard angles and ready to get issued. The point in the structure of the subject of the which is condensed impression of the object in the senses. What is that the point it is having? It is having a condensed impression of the objects of the senses of the doer in the physical body. So this is what is happening. When you are actually doing it, the manifestation of the thought, the aim line represents the aim and line of the airy units. And the angle is the design made up of the angle, matter, and water units. This is the made of earth units, represents the exteriorization of the design. So once you started that, then you started designing exteriorization. The design is exteriorized from the surface matter into act, object, or event. The balancing factor becomes actual and drives towards the balancing of the thought. When the thought becomes a surface on the physical plane, it is only the quarter of the circle, not fully balanced. It's only 1/4 of the circle. The balancing factor is not satisfied until the structure is completed and three more standard angles, and then it comes to the 180 degrees. Then so once it comes to the 180 degrees, then unmanifested side will try to resolve and come to that the remaining 180 degrees. And the initial point the point is disappearing and the light is releasing and it is kept on the thought. When the thought is not balanced, the first exteriorization it is not balanced, the second angle will not built out. When the second angle is not built out, the structure will be distorted. It will not be in a proper way. The initial point has been exteriorized by an object or event or a design, right? Then the whole thought will be, the first initial 1/4 is very important. If that is not actually aligned, then the whole thought will not be exteriorized. When that is aligned, when that feeling and desire with a reason, when you are releasing, right? So the point will be the exteriorization. So here the structure of the thought remains. Thinking holds the light of. So the thinking, what it is doing is it is holding the light of intelligence. At first, the design is followed by aim, and now it may change it according to your consciousness. It may or may not throw the light on that particular thing. When you throw the light, the thought will become strong and exteriorized, which is influenced by the balancing factor of the consciousness. And here he is also talking about a thought that is created by intelligence. Here, these are all the human with from the senses. The thought will also created by the intelligence. So the intelligence will also create a thought and influence under the influence, because those things, something they wanted to do for the human as a humankind, through some human beings only the thought will be created. That is intelligence thinking. Intelligence, that means the other side of the intelligence when it is thinking, right? That when it comes, it is traveling on the other way and some kind of your mind. So something it triggers and it starts. So the triune self, the complete triune self will be governing this in this visual world, and as a consequence, there are events will happen, because when the intelligent side is thinking, some events will happen because it wanted to exteriorize, it wanted to give some law, some knowledge, the nature laws to the human being. There are 7 faculties that we already have: the form, solid, matter, set. All these 7 faculties we already seen. Usually, intelligence and triune self thinking without producing the thoughts. Usually, who will produce the thoughts without producing? Intelligence and triune selves, whatever that they are thinking, they will not produce any thoughts. But because they know that what exactly needs to be produced, right? So it depends on that particular thing only. Those intelligence things comes to the lower elementals. Those thoughts come to the lower elementals, and then those will be helpful to the world and to the human efforts. Those thoughts will be helpful to the human world and efforts. Triune self, or sometimes the triune self arranges the fate or destiny. So nobody wants to have a hurricane, nobody wants to have some kind of storms and all those things. But why they are coming? Because those were the thoughts thought by the intelligence. So those that will arrange your thoughts are a destiny. So that helps our to set the human balancing, right? So that is the intelligent side that it is actually doing it. So it also comes as a lines and timely manner, right? So it is coming, it comes, and it so it brings the periods of general darkness and illness or enlightenment also. These thoughts also comes from the thing, or it may be using the catalyst to destruction of this earth crust, the book, all the things, right? Those things are also can come. They may be interfere with the individual thinkers. So they may be, whenever the intelligent side is actually doing it, they may be interfering with the individual thinkers and would produce the unreasonable events also. The corruption of the officials, all those things will also, or some accidents might happen. It is actually interfering the things. The intelligence sometimes they create the thought when but they do this with the triune self. They want to create some physical world. When they wanted to create something in the physical world, they try to aid the human assistance. They will go to they will interfere and they will go to the thing, and they'll change the course of action. With their thinking, that the triune self will try to force that particular person or the human, with the help of the thing, he may be changing it. Such a thought does not go through a slow process. It will do but the kind of thing, right? The elementals will try to do that, and intelligence will try to create something. The intelligence, the order of the elements by thinking or by the thoughts, according to their geometrical figures, which elementals have to obey. So according to their geometrical figures, these elementals has to obey whatever the thought that it has created. Such a figure affects the elements by means of the matter that is made, matter units. So those thoughts will be made, or those thoughts will be exteriorized with the help of this matter. The fact that the world has been going uninterruptedly, the best evidence of the knowledge of this intelligence of their triune self, we can say, because the world sometimes it is giving all the things. It is the best, it is an evidence, because some things will not happen by the human things. Some divine interference, the divine in the sense here, the triune self interference is happening. That's why some of the things are happening to the humankind. The figures thought by the triune self only guide the exteriorization. It guides via the symbols. Through the symbols, it is trying to guide it. Even in meditation, people see some symbols, some numbers, some figures, all those things, right? Those are all the guiding factors that universe is trying to guide you. So the thoughts, based on the thoughts, based on those symbols, you can exteriorize your thoughts. You can try to interpret your thoughts in an orderly, natural manner, so that it will not affect things. But you need to have that kind of knowledge. That is the knowledge that I think he gave it in the previous chapter, which got deleted from this book. We will see when the time comes what are if somebody can interpret those the things, we will see. Another kind of the thinking is done by the great triune self of the world, the beginning of the form, life, and light world. So it is also creating that beginning of the light world also. This thinking of the great triune self of the world is one's feeling, thinking, and knowing. So that we know once those feelings are knowing, right? So I will stop here.